Chapter 5. Bring on the Night. Mare. From the slumber of sideway glances he was receiving from Ponyville residents, out walking the streets in the warm afternoon sun, Dry Rose was starting to think he was walking to his execution instead of just over the Crystal Castle, where Princess Twilight Sparkle lived. After all, the cat was out of the bag now since Princess Luna knew all of his nocturnal nuzzling, and his goose was truly cooked. All of his worries about witnesses was now potatoes now. Thankfully, the condemned stallion had his own coffee machine, so if he was walking to his doom, he was bringing coffee for himself. He wanted to be awake for this event, even if it was mind-keeping, trying himself to keep in tripe. Overused phrases to keep from thinking about his ultimate fate. The castle looked a lot larger from up close, all bright and shining in the sun, and the front door seemed to be a lot thicker than he expected too. The inhabitants probably would not even hear him knocking, and he could go on home without facing the music. Taking a sip of coffee to still his nerves, Dry Rose tapped on the door with one hoof, making slightly more noises than a grain of wind-blown sand might make on an impact. Well, no pony home. He had just taken a relaxed breath when the door swung silently open, and a cool breeze blew out, smiling of lilacs and vanilla. There was no pony, and no dragon. Immediately inside the open doorway, so after the second quick peek, Dry eased the door close again. This is probably a bad time for them. She's probably spring cleaning or something. I'll come back tomorrow. He turned around to leave and stopped since Princess Luna was standing right there, wearing a quirky smile. Then again, maybe it is a good time. He turned around again and slipped in the castle door, keeping his eyes forward while pacing off into the bright hallways and the corridors. A quick glance over his shoulder showed no royal followers, so he continued walking for a while through the bright corridors and the hallways. Then through the hallway corridors, hallways, and stairs, all the while humming a funeral dirge under his breath, and that considering that perhaps he had not brought enough supplies for an expedition, and that if he did get lost in here, at least one pony knew where he had vanished, and might send a search party after him. I should have brought some string, he muttered before opening up yet another door. Instead of another empty room or perplexing corridor, it seemed to be a bathroom, mostly because it had a bathtub in it, and there was a small dragon in the tub taking a bath. They shared a long silence before Spike spoke and pointed at his bath brush. Their border is down that way. Take a left and you're right there. Thank you. Dry Rose gave an abbreviated bow and closed the door, now having directions to the last place in the universe he wanted to go. He went there anyway. Princess Luna? Dry Rose looked into the library, and the two alicorns sitting quietly together, most probably discussing how best to dispose of the bodies of unwanted coffee shop owners. I'm here, he added reluctantly while coming the rest of the way through the door and closing it after him. Princess Luna looked calm and peaceful, but Twilight Sparkle glared back at him, only mellowing her fierce expression when she spotted the foam container of coffee hovering at his side. Is that for me? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, said Luna. No! Dry Rose clenched his coffee in his forearms. I mean, this is mine. Luna clucked her tongue while shaking her head. Thou do not know it is proper to bring a princess a gift when you visit her castle? Dry Rose held up the cup. Sorry. It has backwash. Pass, declared Twilight while making a face. Luna turned slightly to regard her fellow alicorn with the raised eyebrows. Thou biddest not seem to be bothered by the touch of his mouth this morn. Twilight promptly blushed red, and so did Dry Rose. Gaining to her hooves in one slow motion, Princess Luna strolled past Dry Rose and through the door, calling back over her shoulder. We shall wait without while to discuss your relationships. We don't have a relationship, protested Dry Rose, even though Luna had already left. I don't know who you are, said Twilight Sparkle. How are we even supposed to have had a relationship? Dry Rose took a sip of coffee and cleared his throat. I'm Dry Rose, the head brasa at Java Lectrauza. He paused. And owner. He paused again. Your Highness. He paused again for a long moment before adding, Please, don't throw me in your dungeon. The concept seemed to upset Twilight, and she squinched up her face in what was supposedly to be only a scowl, but only made her look cute. We don't even have a dungeon in this castle. Well, I don't think we do. I haven't had the chance to really look, but if you do, I'm going to not throw you in it for doing whatever it was you doing. I didn't do anything, protested Dry, other than get... He stopped cold, while his lips felt hot. Look, this is all a big misunderstanding. You've been sleepwalking at night for a while, and getting coffee at my shop, and paying for it. He paused, looking for a reaction. By the way, you still owe me 50 bits for the frappuccino this morning. What frappuccino? Twilight Sparkle paused and looked at the large and quite empty foam cup sitting near her cushion. Oh, that one. She paused again. Look, I know this is all sort of prank with Pinkie Pie or Rainbow Dash, so we just admit we could go our separate ways. Okay. Dry Rolls licked his lips. It was a prank. There was a very, very long pause, whilst Twilight Sparkle just looked at him. You're a terrible liar. Which means, I'm going in the dungeon? No, don't be silly. It means you're either a changeling. Twilight's horn lit up. There was a bright green flash and then nothing. Okay, you're not a changeling. Seems like a good news, but he had to ask. That's good, right? It would be the easy answer if you're not a changeling. You've been brainwashed into thinking I've been sleepwalking around town and... Twilight twitched. Kissing you. She paused, looking contemplative. By changelings, of course. Dry Rolls let out a sigh of relief. That's good. I think. So, you're not going to throw me in the dungeon, right? Of course not. I just need to get a few readings to see what kind of brainwash spell you're under. For a secret lab in the basement of the Castle of Friendship, it certainly looked a lot like a dungeon to Dry Rolls, including the table with the restraints and the giant helmet with a bunch of colored wires on it that Twilight Sparkle had strapped into his head. She called it a Malodorno, Polynetinetmatograph, but he had never had another word for it that really was not suitable for polite profanity. Somehow his coffee had followed them down to the dungeon/lab, and was sitting calmly on the nearby table, which would have been fine if Dry had been able to use his magic to levitate it over to lubricate his dust-like dry throat, but the only thing coming out of his horn right now was sparks and the occasional twinge of pain when Twilight Sparkle tuned her infernal machinery. Could I get something to drink, please? Asked Dry Rolls. Twilight did not seem to notice his question, while writing furiously in a notebook, but she was muttering enough to be heard. Subject. Is complaining of thirst an indication of physical discomfort occurring at the somatic circuit. 14 was engaged. Possibly dark magic. Dry rasped through his sudden dry throat. On second thought, I'm fine. Not stopping writing for a moment, Twilight muttered, switching circuit 17 and beta 4 reduces subject desire for louds. Consider the possibility of old alternative silver raises parasites causing a short end in cranial tissues. Might need a sample. He decided to remain silent for the rest of the testing. Even when his coffee drifted across the room in Twilight's magic, and she took a drink while scribbling away. The sound of footsteps echoed around the room when the little dragon before came scurrying down the stairs, calling out, Twilight! I've been looking all over for you! Princess Luna says... Spike came to an abrupt halt when he spotted Dry. Took a speculative look at Twilight Sparkle, who was still scribbling away, and seemed to come to a conclusion that Dry really didn't like. Step by step, Spike backed up the stairs and eased the door shut upstairs. Dry could have just imagined the conversation that was inevitably going to follow. Rarity! Rarity! Spike dashed into the Carousel Boutique and skidded to a halt in front of the busy unicorn, who had pinning a helm on the ground. Twilight's got some stallion tied up in her basement and is going to do experiments on him. Really? Rarity took a few extra moments to ensure the helm was properly timed before turning to the little dragon. I wouldn't worry, Spike. It's all part of the cycle of life for socially mandrilled unicorns who sleepwalk. You see, when an alicorn such as Twilight develops feelings for a stallion, she first drives him insane and ties him to an immobile object before... Well, you probably should get Princess Celestia for the ceremony. Rarity used her magic to reach behind a partition and removed a pale cream wedding dress with violet highlights. The poor thing is doomed, so we might as well get it over while he reigns a few shreds of sanity. Well... That's it. Are you ready for the next step? Twilight Sparkle unhooked the restraints and removed the colorful basket of wires from his horn, while Dry Rolls blinked away the terrifying magic. Shouldn't we wait for Princess Celestia? He stammered. No, said Twilight somewhat hesitantly. Why would she want to do associated flashcards? Oh. Dry Rolls slid up his magic and floated the foam cup giving it a little shake. Can I get some coffee first? Hey, let go of my... Twilight Sparkle slowed to a halt as realization swept over her. as well as a bright pink blush. Oops. Feeling a little better at being out of the shackles, Dry tried to be dismissive. Don't sweat it. So, he glanced around the dark equipment-filled laboratory while she got out of the cards. Do you do this to all of your dates? Dates? Twilight shuffled the cards a little faster, obviously uncomfortable with the word. No, this isn't a date. It's a psychological examination to find the brainwash who made you think I've been sleepwalking into your store and drinking your coffee. She glanced at the empty cup. And other things that I'm not doing. Dry Rose shook the empty cup. Twilight Sparkle shuffled her cards faster. One cup is only one data point. Besides, it's an outlier. You would need a lot more points in a series to put forth any kind of possible theory. Spike called down from somewhere above them. Twilight, I brought you and your date some coffee. If you're done playing with him, that is. I'm not playing, Spike! Snapped Twilight while shuffling her flashcards even faster. It's research! The sound of the draconic footfalls preceded Spike coming down the stairs, pausing to look over the room for perhaps any games more mature than his young eyes should see, then coming down to the rest of the way to the main floor. He placed a foam cup next to each of them and nodded at Dry Rose. Well, hello, Mr. Roast. Rarity told me all about you. I don't have the chocolate syrup or sprinkles for the coffee like you do, but I like extra sugar. Thank you, Spike, said Dry, trying to ignore the way Twilight Sparkle was hunched over, shuffling her cards faster than the last time he checked. He reached out one hoof and shook the off her claw hand, then pointed at the Java Lecha foam cups with a questioning expression. Yeah, I've been washing them out so we could get them recycled sometimes, said Spike. You must have 50 of them when the library got blown up. Spike! Said Twilight in a low, threatening tone. Don't you have something else to do? And we've got like twice as many upstairs now, he continued. Where are we supposed to take them to get them recycled, Mr. Roast? Twilight Sparkle's deck of shuffling flashcards barely exploded, with cards flying everywhere. Dry Rose ignored the rain of educational aids and just nodded back at the little dragon. I'll take... A mental image flowed to his mind of him walking to town with a sack of empty cups from the castle, and just what think ponies would think. On second thought, just stack them somewhere. I'll get them later. While Spike was jogging back upstairs, Dry picked up a loose card and put it on the table, then joined Twilight in a silent search for the rest of the perfectly randomized deck. After a certain amount of tense silence went by, and most of the cards seemed to be located, he cleared his throat and said, Nice lab. Thanks, muttered Twilight, using her magic to casually lift a piece of heavy equipment that he would not be able to shift, then retrieving the card from underneath it. Nice dragon, added Dry Rose. Yes, he is. Twilight dropped one last card on the stack and glared at it, as if daring would be unshuffling after this much work. While his jailer and experimental scientist arranged her clipboard, Dry took another around the shadow basement lab. You don't think Luna's lurking around here? Of course not. She flipped over a card so she could see it. Mountain. Grown, responded Dry. There was another flip. Rich. Flavor. Milk. Creamer. Dark. Roast. Death. Head. What? Steam. Dry Rose looked up to the puzzled Alcorn. What? No, I mean, why would you associate death with head? Death had coffee. It's one of the premium dark roasts with... Never mind, muttered Twilight before flipping up another card. Cat. Civet. Twilight Sparkle paused with the card held loosely in her magic field. How is that related to coffee? Why do you think it's related to coffee? Responded Dry. I have other things in my life. Twilight gave him a long, stern gaze until Dry let out a breath. Kopi Luwak coffee. She frowned. What does that have to do with Sivia cats? Well, the Sivia cats eat the coffee beans, and... Do I have to spell it out? Yes. Re-sighed to his roll, Dry said, Well, the coffee beans pass through their digestive system, and the outer part of the bean is cleaned off. So when it eliminates the rest of there, they're collected, cleaned, and... Twilight Sparkle bolted from her chair and wide-eyed, panicked, and vanished into what could only have been a nearby bathroom. A convenient thing for a studious Alcorn to have next to her secret laboratory, it seemed. While waiting for her return, Dry leafed through the remaining cards, sorting and arranging them, while trying to figure out what just had any of them had to do with mental health. He was just trying to see if he could work out a game of solitaire with them. When Twilight came stomping back into the room, plunked down into her underchair, and yanked out the deck of cards out of his magic. Cat poop coffee, she growled with a flat, aggressive voice. I'm going to start chaining myself to the bed. Dry shrugged. It's like 1,000 bits a bag. I don't have any at the store unless you'd like something special to order. Still sounding a little like she was growling under her breath, Twilight Sparkle gave the deck a quick shuffle and flipped over a card. Bed. She paused again, giving the innocent pasteboard card a look that, by all means, should have set it on fire and burned it to ash, then burned the ash to ash again. We're done here. Dry Rose stood and gave a short bow before heading for the stairs. Thank you, Princess Twilight Sparkle. It's been an interesting day. By the time he was back out in the sunshine, sipping from his full coffee cup and headed for the home, Dry was feeling a great sense of relief, much as if an alicorn-shaped sword had been taken away from overhead. Admittedly, he did not have the welcome possibility of a sleeping Princess Twilight Sparkle coming over in the morning anymore for more coffee and some sugar. But on the positive side, he did not have any welcome possibility of an angry Princess Twilight Sparkle coming over in the morning anymore for sugar and some coffee. It almost made him break into song, but he settled for a crisp skip to stride and a very pleasant smile for every pony. He passed. I'm just glad this is all over. And basically that's it. So I'm having a little trouble with my voice because I really hate my voice, but still. Anywho, if you warriors and ponies enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and probably comment down below saying if you enjoyed it. But stay tuned for the next chapter because that's not all. Anywho, keep on trying, ponies, and stay sharp, warriors.